Could we take a second to talk about Tom Kennedy? Let's talk Lions. Welcome back. For those of you just joining for the first time, my name is Jay. Thank you for joining. For returning subscribers, my friends, the best way that you can support this channel coming into the new season is simply by sharing this video with your friends or your grandmother, because my grandma watches every single episode. Granted, I think she watches it just strictly because she's supporting me and what I'm doing here. She doesn't care about the Lions, which hurts. Grandma, that does hurt. So we got to take a second to talk about Tom Kennedy. The guy is pushing boundaries, pushing the envelope, and really making waves and a name for himself here in Detroit. I know that I've brought up Kennedy in the past two post-game recaps for both preseason games thus far, and it's because both games against Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Kennedy has done amazing things, really making a name for himself. So my guy deserves his own video. And some of you may say, well, why? Well, Kennedy has seen a ton of improvement, so I want to give you a little bit of background information on him. The Detroit Lions actually brought in Tom Kennedy back in 2019. He was originally a professional lacrosse player. You heard me. A lax bro. Well, we signed him as an undrafted free agent back in 2019. He did not make the active roster that year, but he was a practice squad member. Since then, he has been waived, he's been signed. He actually saw one active game against Kansas City back in 2019, didn't get any reps out there, then was waived, then was signed. Rinse and repeat, just like the dentist always says. Well, coming into the 2021 training camp, you gotta understand a lot has unfolded for the Detroit Lions. Specifically, our wide receiver room has been like a kid took a deck of cards and then shuffled it with a bunch of crackers, and you're just like, this is gross. What's going on in here? Why is there a Cheez-It next to the Queen of Hearts? For 2 years, Kennedy has been paying his dues. He has been fighting, scratching, clawing, doing everything he can. However, he was matched up against and trying to get a roster spot with the likes of Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones Jr., Danny Amendola. These guys that were solidified, that had positions, had the spots already, and then he's duking it out for that wide receiver 4-5 position and could never just solidify it. Well, this year, Tom Kennedy has been balling out in training camp, and he's really duking it out for a position on the active roster with the likes of Terrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, Khalif Raymond, Quintus Cephas, Amon-Ra St. Brown. There is a level of, I don't want to use the word mediocrity, but our wide receiver core is not what it was. It does not have the talent or really a named wide receiver one at this point, and so the chances of making the active roster are more in his favor. Well, not only that, he has just been absolutely balling out this year. If you take a look here, I've got the stats from his 2019 preseason compared to his 2021 preseason. Now in 2019, he had 4 games that he got to play in compared to the 2 that he has played in thus far. Well, look at the stats. In 2 less games, he's had the same amount of attempts. His reception percentage has gone up by 30%. He has 31 more total yards than he did in 2019, about 34 more yards per game. So in half of the amount of games, the same amount of attempts, you have seen his stats go through the roof. Now, granted, you're looking at 10 attempts total. However, coming into this next game against Indianapolis, what will he do? That's the question, because I'm going to tell you this much. Tom Kennedy has proven himself to me at this point that he could be on and should be on the active roster for the Detroit Lions as a wide receiver. He has put in the work, he is doing damage, and I love seeing that fire. Now, Dan Campbell himself made it clear that he likes Tom Kennedy, right? A reporter asked him yesterday about Kennedy, and then Dan Campbell actually threw the question back at the reporter, asking him if he liked Tom. And really, then Dan Campbell comes out and is like, yes, we do like him. We love what we're seeing from him. Maybe there is room for him on the special teams unit. That could be a way to get him into the active roster, and then we see him kind of file into the wide receiver core. Not sure how it's going to go down, but I'm going to say this. If he plays the way that he has played these last 2 weeks against Buffalo and Pittsburgh, if he could play that way against Indianapolis, no doubt in my mind, active roster, wide receiver, Tom Kennedy, and that does excite me. I love seeing a practice squad guy do the dirty work, put in the grind, and be able to get from the bottom to the top. That is something that I truly do love. His speed, his agility, his yak, his yards in general. I think Tom Kennedy has done an amazing job. Has he done enough so far, though, to convince the coaching staff? Has he done enough so far to convince you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. How do you guys feel about Tom Kennedy this year, coming into the 2021 season? Drop it in there. And as always, you know I'm looking forward to reading it, discussing it with you, and I will catch you next time on Let's Talk Lions.